Despite the ongoing Hollywood strike, some fall TV shows are going back into production.
But union members are maintaining picket lines at major studios. KCAL News reporter Tina Patel is live at Warner Brothers, where one daytime talk show will be taping again. Tina.
You know, the writer's strike has been going on for 20 weeks, but a lot of shows have been on break or hiatus during the summer. According to Variety, talk shows like The Jennifer Hudson Show are going back into production for their fall season this week. Now, the second season of Hudson's talk show is set to premiere next Monday. The show is covered by the WGA. Sources say the season is going to begin without its writers. That is what Drew Barrymore is doing. Her talk show began production on its new season yesterday. Barrymore's show employs at least 3 writers who are members of the Writers Guild. They were outside on the picket line outside their studios in New York yesterday. They understand that there are some crew members and other people who want to get back to work, but they say they're disappointed that not everyone's supporting them in their fight for a new contract.
This is obviously way bigger than just the Drew Barrymore Show and us 3 writers. We are out here standing with our union and feeling great and excited always to stand with our union, and in standing with our union, which is the WGA, obviously standing in solidarity with all unions across all disciplines.
Now, another update on the strike here in California. The state assembly passed a bill yesterday that would provide unemployment insurance to striking workers. Both the WGA and SAG-AFTRA support the bill. Right now, their members do not qualify for insurance because they left their jobs voluntarily. The bill will now move to the state Senate, and if it passes there, it would go to the governor for his signature. As we come back out here live, there's one point I want to make, and that is that Jennifer Hudson, Drew Barrymore, they are members of SAG-AFTRA, but they have a separate contract for talk shows, so they are able to work as hosts. One question as their shows go back into production is who will appear on the show, because actors who are SAG-AFTRA members are not able to talk about their work, promote any of their work. So that is going to be a question as we move into this new phase of the strike. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Tina, thank you. All good questions. Joining us now to talk more about Drew Barrymore's announcement and all of these issues amid the strike is Elaine Low. She is a staff writer from The Ankler. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
So Drew Barrymore's not the only talk show to go back on the air, or at least plan to go back on the air. What is the workaround for this?
So it's a complicated situation, right? Because talk show hosts are covered under a different contract than the one that SAG-AFTRA performers are currently negotiating, which means that Drew Barrymore and other talk show hosts aren't running afoul of any SAG-AFTRA rules by doing this. But as you know, the Drew Barrymore show is a WGA signatory. It means that it employs WGA writers, and those writers are currently on strike, which means that the show will be operating essentially without any writers. And the question is, well, how does the writing get done? Where's the material coming from? But my understanding is there won't be any quote-unquote literary material on the show, similar to how The View is operating right now.
And then that's going to have long-term impacts, I would imagine, right? If they're able to pull it off, are they going to bring the writers back?
That is a question, and certainly it's elicited a really strong response from writers who believe that the show shouldn't be back in production without its own writers. And, you know, those writers were reportedly picketing outside of CBS studios in New York yesterday. In fact, there were even 2 audience members who, said that they were going into the Drew Barrymore show and were stopped after they were wearing WGA pins. Although the show says that Drew Barrymore wasn't aware of that, and they're going to give those audience members free tickets, and it was a security issue.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've kind of been discussing this is that she was so vocally in support of the strikes in the beginning, and now she's the one kind of not necessarily breaking the picket lines, but she's one of the first to bring her shows back.
Right. She had skipped out on the MTV Film and TV Awards, I think, back in the spring at the start of the strike. And she says that, quote, I own this choice, and this is something that she's deciding to do. And certainly there are many people who want to get back to work. And I was talking to a writer's assistant and script coordinator who was actually picketing outside of her show yesterday, who said that the energy was very charged. And there was one person who came out of the CBS building that day after the taping and yelled, "We've got mouths to feed." So it's a very complicated situation, obviously. And, with the strike going on more than 4 months now, the writer strike that is, and the SAG-AFTRA strike going on something like 60 many days, you know, people are really starting to feel the pain from this.
And it seems to be a little bit of a win, I would think, for the studios, right? Because people are seeing shows like Drew Barrymore go back on the air. They're functioning, so to speak, without the writers, without bringing actors on. And it could have lasting effects. And also it's encouraging other people who might be wanting that paycheck to come back.
Yeah, we'll certainly have to see what the knock-on effect is of this. I mean, obviously in the 2007-2008 writer's strike, we saw what the impact was to reality television, to unscripted TV. We'll have to see what the impact is this time around with talk shows. And, you know, given the dearth of scripted programming on the fall TV schedule, certainly I'm sure the networks are happy to have some kind of original programming on the air.
And I know you're on the picket lines at least a few times a week. What are you hearing from people on the picket lines? What are they saying? And what is their reaction to this?
Well, it's, again, elicited a really strong reaction from the writers who believe that she shouldn't be back in production because the show is a WGA signatory. And, you know, folks repeatedly tell me every time I go out there, we're ready to be out there for as long as it takes. So despite the economic and financial impact, you know, and obviously the impact of their careers. And, you know, I've heard from people who have delayed their weddings, who are thinking about leaving the industry because this is, you know, impacting them, you know, to this degree. But the underlying thing that I hear from a lot of people is still, I support this strike.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I know you'll be out there covering it for us. Thank you. Jamie?